Okay guys, a moment of honesty. This video is going to be about what I think about read alouds, okay, and reading aloud to my children. And it's not what you may expect. So stick around and hear more about read alouds. Okay guys, let's talk about read alouds. What are read alouds? Read alouds are basically taking a book, an article, a story, whatever, and reading it out loud to your children. The benefit of reading aloud to your children exposes them to various genres of literature in various forms. Does it necessarily have to be a book? No, it can be an article. It can be something that was posted on social media. It's whatever you want it to be. You're basically reading words aloud to your children. But the benefit of doing that is really exposing them to good literature. They're hearing what good literature sounds like. They're hearing what good sentence structure sounds like. And it is just entertaining and relaxing and comforting to have someone else read to you, especially if you like to do various voices for your characters and things of that nature, okay? My son loves read aloud time, and my daughter loves me reading aloud to her. But do I like it? No! Guys, I dislike reading aloud. Oh my goodness. If you look at one of my earlier videos in the year, I picked out all these books that I wanted to read aloud throughout the year, and I was super excited with the titles and the content of the books. My son was super excited, and then I started. After the second book, I was like, I am not into this. I am not a read aloud chick. I am not a read aloud mommy. I am not a read aloud parent. I am not a fan of reading aloud. Yes, I said it. I'm sorry. I know some of you mommies and guardians and daddies, you love reading aloud to your children because you love to see the sparkle in their eye, the excitement in their voice, and the smile on their face when you are reading that awesome book to them. But I can only speak for me, myself, and I don't like it. Now, do I do it? Absolutely. I do it. I suck it up because my kids enjoy it and they love it. But I do not enjoy it. Why don't I enjoy it? And I think the reason why I really don't like it is because during my instructional days, I am reading aloud everything anyway. For science, I am reading the chapter aloud to my son. And on occasion, I'll tell him to read a paragraph, right? For language arts, I am reading aloud. For math, I am talking. For African American studies, I am reading aloud. And he's reading some paragraphs as well. For history, world history, or whatever. For all the topics, I'm reading. I'm talking all day, every day, all long time. So when it comes to intentionally reading...
Watch out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
So when it comes to intentionally taking the time out to reading for reading something that is of pleasure to my children, I am pooped. I am like, I don't want to talk anymore. My throat hurts. I just don't want to read aloud. So I have found myself telling my son, you read aloud, or you can go ahead and read that book silently like it's one of your independent books. And he does it. But then if I do that for like 3 days straight, he's like, aren't you supposed to read to me? Like, that's the point. And I'm like, you remembered. Oh, I don't want to read. So we'll go a week without reading. Yeah, I done it. I did it. I do it. We go a week without reading aloud because I just don't feel like it, guys. So I need to figure something out. If you have any ideas,
in 1 mile,
advice,
exit right.
please share and let me know. But I don't know how many books. I probably had maybe 12 to 13, 14 books all laid out for this year, and we've only gotten through 3 books. 3 books. So here are some of my corrective actions, or here's my plan of action to fix my attitude, right? Because I need to fix my attitude. It's all about the children. It doesn't matter if I like to read aloud. It doesn't matter if my throat is parched or my throat is sore or I'm reading all day. Who cares about the parent? It's all about the kids. Keep on reading, right? No, it's not. But because my kids love it, I am going to find a way to compromise with thyself.
Exit right to either. Stay to the left to I.
So here's my plan of action. You know, those books that I've listed, I have under 2018-2019 school year. I don't recall how many titles, maybe 13 to 15 titles. I'm still going to read those books, okay? But we have until 2019, December, to do those. So that's a timeline I gave myself. If I finish them earlier, wonderful. If I don't finish them at the time that I anticipated, then whatever. We'll just, you know, tag them along for the next.
Stay to the left to.
So, I think I'm going to get some audiobooks. Not that I think. I already did, guys. I already got audiobooks for some of those titles. So about 5 of those titles I got
In 2 point.
in addition to getting some of our read alouds on audio using Audible, I have also purchased some of our curriculum on audio as well. So for our, I'm sorry about the lights, guys. I know the sun. Now let me try to fix that for you guys. Hopefully you can see me. But for some of our curriculum, I've also not ordered, but I also purchased some on Audible, and I've also found some MP3s or CDs, or found some items on YouTube. Okay, so let's run down the list. For Bible, instead of me reading aloud everything, sometimes we'll read aloud from the Bible, and sometimes I will listen to the audio version of the Bible. I think it's called The Experience. I think it's called The Experience. I found it on YouTube as a playlist, but you can also order it on DVD. And I think it basically uses like movie stars to read the scripture. And I think they use the New King James Version or the NIV. I'm not sure which version, but they're using one of those 2 versions to read the Bible aloud. I think it's called The Experience. So some of your actors are like Denzel Washington, I think Terry, I forgot her last name. She plays on the show, how can I forget that show, Scandal. The main lead African-American character, female, and so forth. I didn't think Oprah does it too. I don't know, guys, but I think it's called The Experience. Okay, I'll leave the link in the description box below. So that's what we're gonna do for Bible reading. For world history, we do use Story of the World. So we're not going to be reading anymore. We're going to be listening to the audio and then having discussion. Okay. And for U.S. history, we use, I think it's called History of the World by Joy Hakim. H-A-K-I-M or H-A-R-K-I-M, Harkim or Hakim, Joy Hakim, Story of the World. I think it's called Story of the World. But I found the audio on Audible. I only purchased book 1 on Audible to see, you know, what that looks like and what that feels like. What else did I purchase on audio? I think that's it. Oh yeah, and for our science for next year, for the Apologia, Anatomy and Physiology, I did purchase that on CD as well. So I think by me purchasing some of these read aloud books and some of our core curriculum on CD, that's going to free up my voice. And then I may be a little bit more enthusiastic and happier about reading aloud to my children the books that I've selected and the books that they want me to read aloud. What I'm also going to do is in between each read aloud book, because the books are not thin, the books are thick, and I didn't really think about that beforehand. So I have other books within our library that are a few pages long, like 10, 15 pages long. I am definitely going to incorporate those into our read aloud. So after I finish a longer book or a thicker book, we will go ahead, take like a week break from reading aloud if I'm literally reading it myself and it's not on audio, and we will read one of those 10, 15, 20 pager.
Watch out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
And then what I'll also do is maybe in between the read aloud sessions, instead of reading for 30 minutes at a time, I may go ahead and just read 10 minutes. So if I read 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the afternoon, or just 10 minutes a day every day, then that'll probably help me get through the dislike of that time frame during our homeschool, which is read aloud time. So those are some of the ideas or some of the plans that I have to take in order to help me with my attitude when it comes to reading aloud. But I really thought that I was going to love this read aloud thing because as a new homeschool mom, I'm doing it full time. We did it before, but part time. It's called after schooling. But doing it full time, I thought bringing in read aloud, because it was a time to get everyone together, a moment to get our minds right, get our minds and thoughts together, and have a family moment in which we are reading something and listening to something that is of interest, and giving the kids an opportunity to relax and prepare for the school day before we dive into anything. It works wonderful for the kids. So the reason and the purpose for doing it is awesome, and it works great for the kids. But it wasn't working or isn't working great for me as the reader and as the parent. I am not a Charlotte Mason follower, so maybe that's why I'm not into it. I like to read to myself internally books that are of interest to me, so I did ensure that the books that I added on my list were not only of interest to my children, but it would be something that I would enjoy reading. And once I get into it, I enjoy the content of what I'm reading, but I just don't enjoy having to talk for 30 minutes or 45 minutes straight. So definitely reducing the amount of time in which I read in one sitting. That's just not me. I'm just not that girl. So I hope this, you found something of benefit in this video. If you share the same sentiments as me and you're not a read aloud type of person, hopefully I have shared some ideas that will be a benefit to you. And if you are a read aloud type of person and you have any advice for me, please feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to try them out and incorporate them, add them to my homeschool mommy toolbox. Because again, we want to do things that are going to be a benefit to our children. That's the sacrifice that we as parents make. We want to give our children a beautiful, wonderful experience when it comes to not only homeschooling, but everything that we do on their behalf, for them, or model for them. But at the same time, guys, when you are making those sacrifices, we have to think about ourselves, because if we are not full, if our cup isn't full, if we aren't excited or motivated, it doesn't mean you're going to be excited and motivated every day. No, that's not realistic. But we have to find enjoyment in whatever we're doing so that our kids will have a good experience in that process I hope you found something of benefit in this video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comment box below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And as always, guys, you be blessed and make it a great day. And until we meet again in another video, see you soon.